The first sign appeared not on the battlefield, but in the paperwork. June 20th, 1944, near Caen, Normandy. Rain drummed against the steel hull of Carl Fischer's Panther. The tank sat concealed beneath a stand of trees, while mechanics replaced a damaged road wheel. Mud coated everything. Boots sank into the earth. Engines coughed and growled throughout the assembly area. Carl stood beneath a canvas shelter, studying reports from the previous week. The numbers looked impressive. American tanks destroyed, British tanks destroyed, anti-tank guns destroyed, vehicle columns shattered. Every page seemed to confirm what German crews already believed. They were winning the tank battles. Yet, something bothered him. He flipped through another report, then another. His brow furrowed. "That's strange." A nearby lieutenant looked up. "What is?" Carl pointed at the figures. "The same American units." The officer shrugged. "What about them? We knocked out dozens of their tanks 3 days ago. And," Carl tapped the paper, "they're back." The lieutenant smiled. "They received replacements." Carl nodded slowly. Of course they had. That happened in every army. But the scale felt unusual. The American formations seemed to recover almost immediately. Units reported destroyed. 1 week appeared fully operational the next. Sometimes within days. The lieutenant eventually walked away. Carl continued studying the reports. The rain intensified. Water dripped from the edge of the canvas roof. In the distance, trucks moved continuously along muddy roads. German trucks. Too few of them. Many looked worn out. Many were captured vehicles from earlier campaigns. Some were held together by improvisation and luck. Replacement parts had become increasingly difficult to obtain. Fuel was worse. Everything was worse. Yet somehow the Americans never seemed to face the same shortages. Not on the scale Germany did. The thought lingered in Carl's mind. A few days later, he received another glimpse of the problem. His Panther platoon moved toward a sector where Allied forces had launched a new attack. The road wound through villages damaged by bombing. Church towers lay shattered. Farmhouses burned. The smell of smoke lingered in the humid summer air. As the Germans advanced, they passed wrecked Allied vehicles scattered along the roadside. Sherman's half-tracks, trucks, jeeps. Many had been destroyed only days earlier. But what caught Carl's attention wasn't the wreckage, it was what lay beyond it. More vehicles, hundreds of them. The roads behind the front seemed packed with traffic. Fresh columns heading toward the battle. Supply trucks, fuel tankers, repair vehicles, recovery vehicles, more Shermans, always more Shermans. Carl watched from his commander's hatch. The sight unsettled him. Every destroyed vehicle seemed to have 2 replacements, sometimes 3. The battlefield was consuming machines at a terrifying rate. Yet the Allied flow never appeared to slow. Weeks passed. The fighting around Normandy intensified. Every field became contested ground. Every village changed hands repeatedly. Tank losses mounted on both sides. German crews continued claiming impressive victories, but the situation never improved. Whenever a German commander reported destroying 20 Shermans, another 30 seemed to arrive. Whenever an Allied attack stalled, a new one emerged somewhere else. The pressure never stopped. It felt less like fighting an army and more like standing in front of a river. No matter how much water you removed, more kept coming. One evening, Karl's unit occupied defensive positions overlooking a crossroads. The sun had nearly set. Orange lights stretched across the countryside. The crew shared a meal beside the tank. Conversation drifted toward familiar topics: victory, weapons, the war. The gunner, Haynes, kicked at the dirt. "I destroyed 4 Shermans yesterday." The loader grinned. "Only 4? 5, if you count the one that burned after dark." The crew laughed. Then the driver asked a question. "If we're destroying so many, why are there still so many left?" The laughter stopped. Nobody answered immediately. Karl stared toward the western horizon. Far beyond Normandy lay the Atlantic Ocean. Beyond that lay America, an entire continent untouched by invasion, untouched by bombing, untouched by the destruction consuming Europe. Factories operated there day and night. Workers slept, woke, and returned to production lines. Steel arrived, engines arrived, rubber arrived, fuel arrived. Thousands of miles separated those factories from Normandy, yet somehow their products appeared here in endless quantities. Karl had heard rumors, stories from intelligence briefings. American factories producing tanks faster than entire European nations. Shipyards launching vessels in weeks. Railroads carrying mountains of supplies. The numbers sounded exaggerated, impossible. Propaganda, perhaps. But as he looked across Normandy, he began wondering if the rumors were true, because nothing else explained what he was seeing. The next morning brought another battle. American armor attacked through a patchwork of hedgerows. German guns opened fire. Several Shermans exploded. Others burned. The attack stalled. For a moment, it appeared the defenders had succeeded again. Then more Shermans arrived, and more after that. Fresh vehicles moved forward, while damaged ones were pulled away by recovery crews. Some tanks that had been hit only lightly disappeared behind the lines. A few days later they returned, repaired, back in action. The Americans weren't merely replacing tanks. They were recovering them, repairing them, returning them to service. Every Sherman destroyed completely was a victory. But many damaged Shermans weren't gone for long. That realization slowly spread among German crews. A knockout did not always mean elimination. The enemy's industrial strength extended far beyond manufacturing. It reached into maintenance, logistics, transportation, and repair. The entire system worked together, and the system seemed enormous. By July, the battle for Normandy had become a grinding contest of attrition. German crews still believed their tanks were superior. In many ways, they were. A Panther remained deadlier than a Sherman in a direct engagement. A Tiger remained heavily feared. Their guns remained lethal. Their armor remained formidable. But a troubling question was beginning to emerge. What if superiority in a single battle no longer mattered? What if the side that could replace losses fastest ultimately decided the outcome? Karl didn't know it yet, but the answer to that question was already arriving across the beaches of Normandy every single day, in crates, in ships, in fuel drums, in spare parts, and in thousands upon thousands of brand new Shermans.